Morning. Today is December 12th, 2023. You've joined the Kubeflow community meeting, and I want to remind everyone that this is a meeting that's governed by the Kubeflow Code of Conduct, as well as this meeting's being recorded. We have a very full agenda today. We've had a request that perhaps we start with the notebooks working group team, and I'd like to see if the notebooks working group has or if they're ready to talk right now and how much time they need.
It's mostly just confirming if the people who are here right now are the ones who responded on the Slack, because we can just base it off that. Because there was at least 5 or 6 people. So effectively, we're talking here about Kubeflow Notebooks 2.0, which is some work that we're hoping to get done for Kubeflow 1.9. I'll just move it to the top of this here. The steps are kind of the general outline of what I think we need to do to get it shipped. But the first
Okay.
step is
Before we start, how much time do we need to for this topic?
only a couple of minutes really. It's mostly about just organizing that first step and just finding a time that works for everyone.
All right, I'm going to give you 5 minutes and give you a heads up in 5 minutes. Okay.
That's fine.
Okay, go
Uh,
ahead.
the so while so just for everyone who's here and for everyone watching, can you open up that issue, Josh? Or are you sharing your screen?
I just upgraded Zoom and it's causing all types of weird activity. So if you want to show something, go
Oh
ahead.
yeah, I'll do that. That's fine. Fine. Let me do
And
that.
I'm gonna
Okay.
try to figure out whether I can get mine straightened out.
Cool. Cool. Okay. Okay. So I'll just quickly share the design, and then we'll do a quick discussion about if anyone. We won't do any feedback because we don't have enough time right now, but I'll encourage people to respond in that issue, or if you're interested in contributing and uh, writing code or doing docs or testing or other things like that, I would encourage you to come to the meeting that we'll discuss the best time for in a second. Okay, just share the screen. Okay, so uh, we got some crazy. There we go. Okay, so here's the issue. I won't go into super detail here, just to give you a high level overview so that people who haven't seen it can learn about it. The general idea is that there will be no loss of features or capability. It's just and initially the main changes are purely at the controller level. There will be a UI change. There'll be one additional UI edit as well, but that's mostly going to be for the workspace kind. But and there will be some minor changes for the workspace spawner, but it won't be too big. Again, the workspaces are still pending. We might still call them notebooks. It's just a bit weird to call them notebooks when they're a lot more than notebooks. So it could still also be called Kubeflow notebooks as well. That's kind of that's more of a branding question. But so effectively, the overall idea is that instead of having notebook CIDs, which are just wrappers around pod specs, you have you have this new kind of CID, which effectively, so this is the part that the user actually creates using the spawner. These things are the things that you as an admin of the cluster create. So just quickly overview what it looks like. So instead of an existing notebook, which is effectively just a pod template, if you're familiar with Kubernetes stuff, whereas this is kind of like a drop-down selector situation. So this is saying the notebook is not paused. It's a kind Jupyter Lab, which is where this is defined here, kind Jupyter Lab. See, that's a cluster resource. And then you've got because this kind is a pod template type, which is the only kind initially. It says, okay, we're selecting the image with the ID Jupyter underscore sci-fi 71171. And then under pod config, we're selecting big underscore GPU. And so these are defined, all these, what these mean are defined in the kind. And the cool thing about that is that rather than having them explicitly be defined in each notebook, it means that you can restrict what people are able to do, because you're, as a cluster admin, you don't want people making random requests or changes. And then secondarily, it allows you to redirect them or hide them from the dropdown as well. So redirecting means saying, okay, if any notebook currently uses 7170, we're going to redirect it to 171, but maybe not initially. So maybe it says literally wait for restart, so that only when the notebook is actually restarted will it force that change. Or you can say just force it immediately. Or you can, and in the UI will probably reflect the fact that there's a status for a redirect pending a restart. The main benefit is that you get these drop downs for the resources, so that you end up kind of like on a cloud vendor type experience where, you know, there's names given to each, like 2XL, big GPU, whatever, you know, those kind of weird names that you end up on cloud vendors, but you can create those in your own cluster. Probably even matching your cloud vendors VMs, because that's where you're running it probably. Anyway, so if we're talking about the next steps, I think the first step that I really just want to do is have people so I think we could meet either once, for the first question, I guess, do we meet once a week or once every second week? Initially, I think it probably makes sense to meet once a week, because it's just about designing. That's what this phase 2 is. Phase 3 is about, you know, splitting up. And so I expect phase 3 will probably be in the new year, which will be splitting up the design that we finalize into tasks and then assigning it to people. And then from the months that follow into January, February, March will be around just regular catch-ups. The meeting will be replaced with a regular catch-up meeting, which is just following up and saying like, okay, what's our progress? And then obviously as we get closer to 1.9, it'll be about testing and marketing and all the other stuff. So we could use the existing 8 a.m. Pacific on Thursdays as the meeting, but just make it weekly. Kimonos, I guess, you're one of the other people here who might have an interest in suggesting a time.
Hey Matthew, Vikas here. I think, yeah, I'll need some time which is like a little bit Sydney friendly, because currently it's like 3 a.m. in the morning for me.
Yeah, so we could alternate time zones. So we could do what we used to do for the although I think it's mostly dependent on how many people are from each area. So like this time zone here, I understand there's only 3 major area time zones in the world, which I know because I used to be in Melbourne. It's a bit annoying being on that side of the world. Because this time zone works for Europe and America, which is the majority of the contributors usually. Of course, that's not to say that you can't still be involved. It just might mean that you have to either at least maybe in the design phase you might still have to join, but I know that that's kind of bad, but maybe maybe we could organize a special meeting for you if you've got you and a few other people. Okay, so because I know that the times that work for you would be much later or much earlier, right?
Yeah. So for me, even if like it's 2 hours past this time, it's fine, because I usually wake up at 5 a.m. So that's not a problem for me.
And Kimonos, what's the time for you right now?
It's at 3 a.m.
Oh no, Kimonos.
Yeah, 3 a.m. in the morning.
No, Kimonos. Kimonos, are you there?
Yes, but still, because it's 3 a.m. for you right now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I was dealing with before, Kimonos. That's why I moved to the States. Anyway, okay. What time is it for you right now, Kimonos?
It's 6 p.m.
Okay. Yeah, so my thought process is that would you be open to us turning the Thursday meeting into a Kubeflow Notebooks 2.0 meeting?
Let's discuss on Slack, I would say. We don't have to hold too many people in that discussion. We can find something that works.
Yeah, so I just want to know if anyone else on the call who wants to express their interest in contributing. So the main areas of contribution, I'll just quickly open it up, are these. These are the 3 ones. 4, I don't know, is that the front end, it's going to be Angular and Flask, and the back end is going to be Go, obviously, and it's got some SEO, but I can help with that. The docs are obviously just markdown and images, which is already what we've got on the website. But these are the main things. So if you've got experience with KubeBuilder and Angular, or just Kubernetes SEO/design stuff, or really anything else that would be helpful, I'm just interested if anyone on the call is interested in contributing. Obviously, we've got one person here and myself. If you don't want to chat, that's fine. You can just type in the chat as well, or in the Slack here if you want to. Thanks for coming, by the way, Vika.
No
You're
problem.
very, very dedicated. I know the pain.
Yeah, I think
Okay,
I've been
cool.
guilty of missing the previous ones, but yeah, I'm glad I'm
Well,
here.
you're not guilty if it's 3 a.m. Okay, cool. If there's no one who wants to contribute, that's in the meeting right now, maybe they are actually in other time zones. So maybe that does indicate that we should use use a later in the like 5 p.m. 5:30 p.m. Pacific or something like that, which would be 9 hours from now, 10 hours from now. Okay, cool. Kimonos, do you want to say anything about this, or do you want to just leave it and then we move on?
Let's leave it and move on. We can finish the details afterwards offline.
Okay, cool. So if anyone's interested or in either contributing and they're watching or participating right now, please go on the Slack and the Kubeflow-notebooks channel. That's all. Thank you.
I would just continue regarding the architecture and so on as we did before.
Sorry?
I would just continue with reviewing the architecture and other stuff as we did
If you want to do
before.
that, absolutely. Yeah, please
Okay.
do. If you want to join and discuss it as well, I guess we'll probably just use the Thursday meeting this week as the first one at 8 a.m. just because why not? But we'll move to its own meeting once we've organized the time for that for the following week. Okay, cool. I'll leave it to Josh. You can go back to your thing. I'll keep my screen up if you want people to see it.
Yeah, I'm having a little bit of challenges with the, so if we could go back up to the top where we were. So just to put a fine tune on what I heard there, it sounded like you're going to create new Kubernetes primitives, including a pod template and a kind for better fine-grained control and better management of the notebooks. Is that right?
Yep.
Pod
That's
template.
pretty
and a
much.
kind? Yeah.
It's not a pod template. It's more like it's a templated version of the kind. So
Okay.
that's the thing. We're getting rid of the pod template. The pod template will exist, but it's going to be in the workspace kind, not in each notebook.
Okay.
And also, I didn't say it, but there's one other big thing about this, which is that right now we're just creating the pod template kind. When I say that, I mean the kind of kind that is called pod template. But there will be, that's just so that we can replicate the exact feature of the notebooks. In the future, we will add a Helm version of this, which means that literally anything that could be deployed as a Helm chart can be templated into a workspace. So like a Spark cluster, a bunch of different workspaces that are all together, some kind of serving thing, maybe even, I don't know. Like you can imagine, the sky is the limit.
Okay. Well, this sounds exciting. Thank you, Matthew. So let's just go through 1.9 update. We did have a meeting yesterday. We are accepting nominations for various positions on the 1.9 release team. So for that, we need a release manager.
Didn't we have someone last time who put up their hand?
And so that's somebody that we're going to need. Perhaps we get a product manager. I've been kind of filling in for a lot of the releases, but somebody feels like they want to do it, have at, let's do. And then we need the liaisons, folks to work with the release team and also go to the working team meetings. And we've got a few people who are stepping up there, but we need more. So this is at a yellow right now, going towards a red that we don't have a release manager. And yeah, I'm going to say that we're going to be in a red phase if we don't have somebody by, the beginning of January.
Josh, but I thought we had someone. I remember there was someone who put up their hand a couple of weeks ago, wasn't there?
If you did and I missed you, then fine. If we can get folks to show up to the release team meetings on Monday, or if we need to move those around for the release manager, fine. Monday seemed to be working pretty well. We got a lot of people in the last release. We still had two or three people. Yeah. And, if taking the full release management responsibilities is too much for somebody to commit to and they want to do like part of it, then maybe there's a fractional release manager piece that perhaps makes it easier for people to consume. On the other part, we talked about timelines, working group roadmaps. We probably need to start to review as soon as possible. I'm glad that Matthew brought up the notebooks. It seems like that would be a lot of the things that possibly could be in the 1.9 timeframe, I'm hoping. But I think for everyone who's on the release team and the product manager and whoever's going to write the roadmap, update the roadmap on the website, we do need to get the working group roadmaps put together sometime in early January or before. So are there any of the working groups that would like to review kind of their ideas of roadmap items? Even if it's, kind of like what Matthew did, which was, here's 5 minutes of a major PR that we're going to try to do.
So yeah, so for I've talked about it in the previous meetings as well. So in general, it would be great if we can have a coherent story around LLM specifically in the coming Kubeflow release. So we have started contributing in training operator. The required changes for distributed fine-tuning specifically for LLMs. We would be contributing examples in different repositories, including operator, Cative, and serving, for example. And if possible, we'll contribute examples in pipelines as well. So that would cover kind of like a end-to-end story for customers to start using Kubeflow as a great option for their LLMs and their deployment. So which can take care of your entire workflow from your fine tuning to hyperparameter tuning and deployment, all connected in a workflow. So we have started working on that specifically in the operator, but again, we'll contribute in different repositories. So that's the main key theme that we are trying to get it in the next release.
Okay, you know what might be nice? Is there a PR or a proposal that's something on there that potentially
yeah, so we have that proposal that I have shared in the training operator. So it is already merged and the changes are getting in right now. So we are hoping that major changes will be in by, I can share that in the Slack channel as well. Major changes will be in by end of December. And we are looking at changes in the other repositories as well to create possible options for customers to start using.
That's great. So that would be one aspect of what our roadmap could include. Any other comments? I mean, what for the product manager or the release manager, who's trying to figure out what's going to be in 1.9, where I'm trying to give them some place to start to consume some of this this detail, but also end users who want to jump in. Okay, so you provided the links there. Okay, great. Let's put that perhaps underneath. And would it be possible, John, I know you've gone over, but could you give us another update on where we are with that in January or sometime that's convenient for you?
Sure. So by early Jan, we should have major changes already merged. So I can talk more about it. And probably by mid-Jan, we should have some examples as well. Like in a notebook, how can start a distributor fine-tuning for LLM. Specifically, like we'll take some popular models like Llama or something similar, so that's more appealing to users.
So I really like this, and what kind of the idea is as we promote perhaps some of the upcoming Kubeflow community meetings, that perhaps we ask people who have these type of requirements or interests to show up to the meeting and hear about what you're doing, and then maybe recruit them to help in the testing or feedback.
Right.
Okay, great. Question for folks who are working group. We also talked about a potential May, June timeframe with a feature freeze, perhaps in the March-ish timeframe. That seems like a long time, feature freeze to release. But kind of my idea is that we would want to have the release early in the month. That way, if we slip at all, we can still stay in the month. So if we say early May, then gives us all May to delivery. But if we say we're going to do May 30th, then it's likely we'll skip into June. So really the question for the working groups, and some of this is going to, I think this is great what we just heard about the LLM thing, and I don't know where the notebooks will be, but we have a bunch of other projects coming in, the Spark Operator and the model registry. I don't know if they will be anywhere where there's any integration ready by early March or mid-March. So, folks should start to think about that. Would 1.9 with some of these new projects that we're talking about potentially have something in that time frame ready for feature freeze? Don't have to answer that now, but working group leads, if you guys could think about, how you're going to move this forward. Now, that's about it for the timeline. Let's keep going. 1.8.0, I was just wondering, have the known issues on 1.8.0 been documented, the pipelines and the notebooks issue? Are those two issues documented when people are installing or somewhere where people will see them when they're trying 1.8.0?
I mean, we could create a known issues section on the website. We haven't really done that.
So if somebody installs this, are they going to know that their V1 pipelines don't work without?
So to be clear, the distributions could be using the new version of pipelines which was released, which fixes that bug. But that's kind of the problem, right? Where we haven't really got a strong definition as to what it means for a distribution to be at a specific version, right? Because obviously a distribution is going to include that patch, because why wouldn't they?
Well, I'm just saying for 1.8.0 for the DIYers, right? Are they just hunting around to find that? Are they just going to find that issue, or have we documented? If we haven't, that's fine. I'm just wondering if are those two issues?
I think we probably should consider making a known issues thing on the website. For that, because there's a release section on the website, and we should put under that release, we should put known issues, but we might need to put a warning which says distributions may have patched these. You know what I mean? That's kind of because some will.
Like deploy KF definitely won't have that issue, for example,
Right.
or the other
and
one.
So that's fine. And then on 1.8.1, I assume we're not doing this, right? We have nobody to lead it. But we do have the two issues resolved, correct?
The other issue, it's not resolved in a sense. It's like that. I don't know if the images have been cherry picked. It's because it's just an image. Oh wait, no. There was like 3 issues. There was one hidden one, which was similar to the second one for notebooks that we were talking about. But I don't think Julius has managed to raise a PI yet. The other one.
I think I raised the PR and answered in
Oh,
the
did you?
chat. Yes, both things, but I didn't yet test the changes. I just applied what other people used who are running slow ASICs in its systems. So in the end, it's just setting unlimiting the timeout for the startup. Let me post the pull request.
Okay, well, on those, we'll discuss them again at the release team and see if we'll do anything about those. But if anybody wants to help pitch in, I mean, I just think it's good hygiene for us to. It's not a problem to have bugs. It's just problem to make everyone find them again and then ask on Slack, and then find out that we all knew about it and they spent time figuring it out. Anyway. Let's move on. CNCF adoption, IP policy. Ricardo, are you available?
I'm here.
So you've done some research. Other people have researched this between the CLA and the DCO, correct?
That's right. I wrote a slide deck to show that comparison. If it's possible to share my screen, I can present to others.
Yeah, I mean, the short of it is, right, that almost all the groups are using DCO. Is that correct?
Yeah, so according to the research I made, 22 out of 24 graduated CNCF projects is using DCO today. The exception is Kubernetes that's using CNCF CLA. And the other one, I didn't find if it's using one or the other, but we can see that the majority of the graduated CNCF projects uses DCO. I believe this is mostly because of the simplicity of just commit to contributions, which is just signing commits. You can do this granularly per commit. And the CNCF CLA, one of the advantages is pretty much the idea of having individuals versus corporate CLAs. So you can sign as a corporate or as an individual. I don't know how much companies does sign CLAs for projects, but as far as I could see, DCO seems to have a lighter workflow to start contributing to Kubeflow when moving to CNCF.
I just want to put my foot down and say there is absolutely no world in which we don't use a CLA. The question is whether we use the CLA and the DCO.
No.
Like if we don't use
it's one or another.
CLA, it is a
It's
massive
not,
legal liability to the project and
No,
the
no,
contributors for that matter.
I think we just need one.
One at a time. Go ahead.
Like there's a reason why Kubernetes uses a CLA, and there's a reason why Kubeflow does as well right now. It's just because the DCO is honestly very legally ambiguous, and it has not been tested in court. And whereas the CLA has, and like it's the CLA wording of the CNCF one, I don't know if that one specifically has been tested in court, but the Google one definitely has. And the idea is that you're not explicitly giving up things like, lawsuit rights or the ability to claim patent infringement, which are really important for the project to protect itself and the contributors to protect themselves. Like obviously some of those come through the Apache license, like by implicitly contributing under the Apache license, you do give up your right to sue other people using it. But like the for patent specifically, but like the CLA is not, there's no question in my mind that I wouldn't accept. I would probably not be able to contribute to the project if there wasn't a CLA.
Okay, that's one opinion. Ricardo?
Right. So like I said, the majority of CNCF projects uses DCO, and just to answer that question, it's one of another. We don't need to use both. But again, DCO seems to have a lighter workflow. But asking internally at Red Hat for guidance from other leads that graduated some projects to CNCF, they said that both serve the same purpose. So it doesn't really matter when to choose one of another. I believe it's mostly what's the preferable choice for the community to use if using CNCF, CLA, or DCO.
I want to follow up on something you said, Ricardo, that the DCO has a lighter weight policy. As I understood it, you have to sign every PR.
Every commit, yes.
But with the CLA, don't you just do it one time and you don't have to do anything on each PR?
Yeah, but
Well,
you can configure your local gate globally so that you can just configure it once for all projects, and all your commits will be signed. It's just one
yeah, I was
off
going to say
effort.
that.
Yeah,
So
and
my
just
concern is
wanna
that hasn't been tested in court. Like the issue is that it's very easy to fake commits, and I can sign a commit as Linus Torvalds, for example, and it would definitely come up as Linus Torvalds on GitHub. The issue is that it won't show up as a verified a commit unless you have a signed GPG hash. But then at that point, it's just like getting crazy. And why don't we just use the CLA where we have a legal agreement between the contributor or company?
All right, next, who else has got a comment? I think Andre.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, like Ricardo, when you said like many Kubernetes like projects using DCO, what exactly you mean? Like looking for Knative VSteel Kubernetes, are they using DCO license?
Yeah, I literally open each of the CNCF projects to check their contribution guides, what they are using. And like I said, I could confirm that 90% of this project uses DCO.
So what about Kubernetes and Knative and Istio?
Kubernetes uses CLA.
And Knative VSteel?
I think Knative, I don't remember if Knative is the one that I didn't see if it uses CLA or DCO, but there's one other project that it's kind of unknown for me. Maybe I can check my notes.
just want to add another
used to
data
require
point.
one.
So at Argo project, we basically switched from CLA to DCO because we find it really developer friendly, the DCO, and it's hard to get vendors and different new contributors to get their companies signed for the CLA. So DCO is much lightweight from that perspective.
So by the way, this is the text here of the DCO. It's very short. It pretty much just says that I'm contributing and I'm allowed to contribute, and that I'm contributing it under the license marked on the file. It makes no other assertions. Obviously, this does mean that the Apache licenses, terms and conditions, whatever, do apply, but that's not. Like, I understand there's a bit of a barrier, but I think Kubeflow has already had such a legacy of people signing the CLA. And obviously, we've already got everyone who's already signed the Google one. So this is the question as to what it actually means to transition anyway, right? Like, do those people have to re-sign? Probably. When's the cutoff, you know?
Okay, we need to make a decision, right? We can't do both. Is that correct? Or does anybody know?
No, you don't need to do both. You can choose one or another.
You have to choose one or the other?
Yeah.
It doesn't make a lot. I mean, you could do both. Like this is a developer certificate of origin, right? That is somewhat separate to a CLA, which is a license agreement, or a contribution agreement, if you will. Like from a purely practical perspective, nothing needs to change if we move to the CNCF one, and we can have a period where we say, you've got 4 months to sign the new one. You can continue contributing under the old one until 4 months is up, or something like that. But then after that point, the bot will now block both, unless you have not both, unless you've signed a new one or something to that effect. Because obviously there will be contributions that will need to be continuing throughout this transition. Oh, this also is important because there are other types of IP contributions people could make that, I mean, obviously you can write an issue whenever you want, but it's useful that people have signed a CLA if they do make weird claims in issues like, oh, I said something novel or did something and you've stolen it and whatnot. Whereas this only applies to commits inherently.
Anybody else have a hard block on using DCO besides Matthew?
Yeah, I need to come back to you as well from our side. Like, I cannot tell it right now, but we need to confirm as well. And I mean, from my understanding, I don't really understand why we're just gonna like move forward with CNCF first and then like move to DCO if most of the contributors agree with this. But I guess we just, need more time to discuss it.
Let me ask this. Has anyone not signed the CNCF CLA?
If we talk about Kubernetes, don't forget, literally almost the entire world is a contributor to Kubernetes. So every company I can ever imagine will have signed it.
I understand. I was just asking for the folks on the phone if anybody hasn't signed it. I'm just trying to get an idea of, what's our easiest path forward. And then what changes have to be committed in to get I assume every Git PR commit has to be checked against this, right? Currently, we're checking whether it's in the Google CLA. But I
so this is more of a policy question. Like the technical implementation is pretty straightforward. It's more of a what do we need, right? Are we going to do a big bang in one day, or are we going to have a period of crossover? What's going to happen? You know what I mean?
Matthew, I ask a question and then you take it in a different direction, but that's fine.
So Josh, to answer your question, if we want to implement DCO, right, we only need to add one additional check for DCO. That's it. And remove any CLA check if they exist in any projects.
And we can't implement both. Is that what you're telling me?
It will be
I don't know,
right?
but I've only seen one over the other in most of the CNCF projects.
I just want to take a temperature. Who votes for CLA? Just count on how many people on the phone? We've got 28 people supposedly. How many people would like the CLA? I don't know how to take.
I would say
you can raise your hand in the meeting if you want.
Let people get back to legal as well, right? To before we confirm our call. So it would be great that way. To maybe like wait.
So
for
also
a
just
week.
when you take it to your legal, just tell your team that it's the Kubernetes CLA. They will have already signed it.
Yeah, agree. But I'm just saying like just over this call, probably like we'll just wait for a week or so to just get back to legal and ensure that there are no other legal issues.
Okay. I would like to resolve this issue. If we don't resolve it now, we probably won't resolve it next week, which means we're into next year and we'll have a couple of calls before. So we're probably in the middle of January. Anybody that's waiting on this, I just letting you know that's what I think where we're at. Right? I
So
don't.
is there people currently unable to contribute under the Google one that are willing to contribute in the next 2 weeks, or is it not really a thing?
Well, I've been pressured in the past about this several times that people want to move away from the Google CLA. And I think they've just gotten tired of asking. And that's why I keep trying. I'm a little exasperated that I just want to get this finished, guys. My take is we go with the Kubernetes CLA or the CNCF CLA and start there. And if it's really disaster, we go to the DCO. If you guys are convincing me that the DCO is fine too, if people say that that works for them, I'm okay with it. I really don't care either way. It just seemed like the CNCF CLA would be an easier path for me. That was just my thought.
So to keep things moving, Josh, so how about keeping this as the default, and unless someone comes as a blocker, real blocker, we will just go ahead with the CNC or CLA.
And maybe
Like,
when would it take effect? Would it take effect in just January 1st or?
Yeah, I'm saying let's decide a timeline. By that time, if community doesn't come back with a real blocker, let's go ahead and implement it. So let's decide that.
All right, let's leave that open until mid-January, but that's really the default path right now. And then people who want the DCO can make their case. Does that make sense? I mean, look, I'm not trying to force it through. I am trying to force it through. I'm trying to get a decision here, right? So, and not everybody's going to be happy, but let's try by mid-January, people that have a real strong DCO. I think there's been some strong cases for DCO. Let's keep moving because we've got a bunch of other stuff to get through. And we're not going to resolve this today. Elections, I think we're in the nomination process. Is that correct? Who wants to give an update on this? David, Amber?
Yeah, that is correct. We are in the nominations phase. It'll be open until the 24th. So if you or someone you know in the community would like to nominate yourself or someone else and their name is on the eligible list of candidates, please nominate them. And don't feel bad if you want to nominate yourself. Just go ahead and nominate yourself as well. We've had 2 people so far that's been nominated, which is Terry and Andre, I believe. So that's exciting to see. And then, matter of fact, I just sent over a blog post for you and James to look at and approve so we can get it out. But yeah, so it's exciting.
Yeah, that's true. And I think Julius, you're gonna you also are gonna be in the running, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And I'll be helping you out there. Okay, so look, I think there's 3 spots. We should get the people, as many people as possible that want to join in. I think we've got some great options so far. Please make an effort to get your nominations in. What comes after nominations? Is there a testimonial phase or something that comes after that, or?
Yep. Yep, testimonial phase. And so what we'll be doing is I'll be reaching out, David or I will be reaching out to the candidates. We'll create a file where you can put, your name, all the information you want people to know to consider you as a candidate and why they should vote for you in the voting phase. So we'll be creating those, and then we'll be opening issues for people to leave testimonials. Keep in mind that these testimonials are only for positive, positive endorsement. We don't want people putting negative comments out. If you have something negative to say, just don't vote for that person. So we'll be working to create that and get all of that created prior to the opening of the testimonial phase. We'll also be reaching out to all eligible voters to ensure we have the correct email address to send your voting key to, because it's one email address and one voting key. And so we'll be double checking to make sure we do have the correct email address for all eligible voters as well. So start looking for, if you're being nominated, David or I will be contacting you. And if you're on the list of eligible voters will be contacting you to double check your email addresses as well.
Fantastic. All right. Thanks for that update, David and Amber. I know that's been a lot of work you guys have really appreciate it. Let's keep going. Matthew, can you scroll down a little bit? I think the next item on the Price is Right is the Spark operator update. Any quick update here?
Is it the model registry?
Well, I mean,
Oh,
we could do the model registry technically. We
model
skipped that,
registry, the meeting's tomorrow. Is Ramesh here? Or anybody that's going to be leading this call?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm here, Josh. Yes, tomorrow, same time. So if you have not seen the proposal, please take a look at it. Me and a few other folks will be moderating that.
Yeah, I think it's super critical that we get a second vendor and or an end user kind of engaged here. We went through the user surveys for people that were asking for MLflow and model registry and personally invited them, but we need more folks taking a hands-on approach to this. So please get engaged. If you can't make the meeting, it'll be recorded. Is that right?
Yeah, we can record it. Yes.
Okay. And or just start commenting on the proposal. Have we gotten very many comments on the proposal?
A couple of folks commented, so I would love to see more.
Okay, so try to get your comments in and appreciate that. Okay, anything, can we move on since we're tight on time? Are you good? Okay, good. You get a full hour tomorrow anyway. You can do it.
Thank you.
Spark operator, Mr. Andre, what's up?
Yeah, so I think we have a really good outcome from all the folks who've been involved. So we created this PR, which is basically transferring the Google Doc that we started several weeks ago to the PR. And so the final decision that we need to have on this PR just an approval from the steering committee, so we can move on. So I think we just need LGTM from you, Josh, and James. And just to give updates for the whole community, we agreed that the Spark operator will be donated to the Kubeflow initially. And initially we will create the same, we will transfer the repo under the same name under Kubeflow org. And then like the maintainers will work to rename the repo to just a Spark operator, to be consistent with MPI operator or with training operator, what we have within Kubeflow community. But it will take time because we need to make some changes in the code base for Spark operator. And I think like, so VAR is not on the call right now, but we kind of like agreed probably like before KubeCon in Paris, we have plans to have a release, official release of Spark operator, which will have all of the necessary changes that we need to make the next release for the users. And I guess like a few folks reach out to me to see if they can be part of this work to move this forward. So I will, like, if you're interested in adopting Spark within Kubeflow, reach out to me on Slack, and I will add it to our like Slack channel for Spark operator, and maybe we can work together to see like maybe you also can be part of the owners files initially. But there'll be like we need to find people who can help the contributors to make the release before March, because I think KubeCon will be like around end of March. So we definitely need to do some work before the release. Yeah, but I'm really excited to see like what we can do there, because like I think it was one of the most you know, like exciting things that we've done for the last several years of adopting new things. Yeah, go ahead, Jan.
Just a quick question, Andre. Is this gonna fall under our working group, the training working group, or it's gonna be independent at this point?
So we have like a proposal to create a new working group, whether it is data or the preparation. And I have this in this proposal, so the section around the working group. So initially like we won't have a working group, but I think starting from January we need to establish a new working group which can basically identify the scope of using different tools like Dask, Ray, or Spark for ML data preparation. And also like my idea was to maybe like include also like the model registry, but this is a separate discussion. Like we can do this tomorrow. What will be part of the scope of this working group. But yes, we need a new one.
Sounds good. So this PR, this proposal is specifically for Spark operator.
Yeah, the Google one. Yeah,
not the new working group. Okay,
yep.
Sounds good.
Yeah, so just to be clear, this PR, so that doesn't block this PR. Maybe we should say that this is more like a suggestion.
Yes, it's like a suggestion. It's like not the final. I think the final decision we need to make it separately. Like maybe we need a separate proposal for the working group. Like
Yeah, because there is like a process to make working groups. We just haven't done it in a long time.
But you can
Like we
share
need to make
this proposal, please?
the charter and stuff. We need to write a charter.
Oh, yeah. We need to write a charter and we need to. Yeah, that's true.
But there's a description of how to do it in the community repo. If this is the community, it is, yeah. In the WGs, I think.
Yeah.
Charter and stuff. Just read these. But that's fine. Like we can still take the donation without the working group existing initially. It's fine.
Yeah, like I hope like like we can start this discussion earlier once we transfer the, but because for the transfership, I think we need to like the people who actually have administrative access for the Kubeflow org, GitHub org. Because like we just need to transfer the repo from one GitHub org to another. So if anyone can help us with this, that will be great if you can reach out to me.
James should be able to do that. Woo or Lou.
Okay, so I have two kind of comments on this. I'm supportive of this effort, although I am concerned about the long-term support of the code, especially if there is going to be another operator that's going to be created, is how we put this one to bed, or if and how we message that and set expectation to the end user. That's one of my very biggest concerns is, what is our long-term commitment, especially if this is a interim solution?
Yeah, that's right, George. Just like to keep everyone aware of like what we're talking about. So there was a proposal like from inside like the Apache Foundation that there will be a new Java-based Spark operator, which will be donated by the one team from Apple. So this operator probably will be in 1.2 release in the several months, maybe like in the 6 months. But the problem is like even if that will be like the default way of how you can run Spark on Kubernetes, proposing by the Apache Foundation, there will be still so many customers who are using the existing Google Spark operator in production, and it's not very trivial for them to migrate to the new one. And maybe some of them won't even want to migrate, right? Because some of this, like the API, some API can be different. Some of the features might be not like compatible. And there are still so many customers like from the AWS side and from other people who also want to use the Google One Spark operator. And maybe they will not migrate. So we just need to still support them for their Spark jobs, right? So I think we just go ahead.
And all I'm trying to do is set expectation in terms of what the community support is and the features, and when we message that there'll be end of support, right? That the community, goes to no support from best effort support. But the other part of this is, just so folks know on timing, I'm a little cautious this is a pretty big decision of making this decision right in the time that we're going to add 3 new members in the steering committee. I'm okay to move forwards. I think that James is okay to move forwards, but do we make this decision before the new steering committee is in place? And the new steering committee won't be in place until the end of January. I don't want to hold back on this. So this is a place where we're straddling, and I'm just wondering if anybody has opinions. Anybody feel strongly against the community doing this? And if you don't want to speak up now, that's fine, but we're pretty open.
Like it's not a strong opinion, but just a suggestion here. So if you're planning to have Spark operator for like, from what I understand, this is actually for next 2 years or something, right? After that, yeah. So then we have to be a little cautious about having a new working group, right? Because that unless we really know the charter of that working group, again, as you said, that's a separate story. Like we can take that discussion separately. But again, I think we have to really think what the chatter is, and probably like if we have a mature discussion about the model registry, then we can think about it for sure. But if it is for a real short term, then we have to think a little more on the working group idea.
Yeah, I think it's a good point, Jono. I kind of like agree that, you know, like we can define a charter which can even like cover the work after 2 years, right? Because like there are so many like ML use cases when you need to connect Spark within ML ecosystem, like the PyTorch, TensorFlow, and other things within training, right? So the question is like, I just believe like Kubeflow needs the story around data preparation for ML. We just don't have it today. We just like when people use Kubeflow, they have to do it separately in terms of feature engineering, you know, in terms of the model registry, in terms of the other aspects of MLOps lifecycle. And I just believe like the people who interested in this can address this kind of like problems, right, that we have today.
I
But
agree.
like, yeah.
I agree with the whole story around, but I'm just saying that it's not trivial to have a working group, include management, releases, tracking, and all of those, right? So unless we have a real commitment.
By the way, to be clear, not allowing a working group is equivalent to not allowing the donation, because we do have a hard requirement that every piece of code must be owned by a working group.
That's true, Matthew. I think I mean, you know, like we can discuss this next time, I think. I just believe we shouldn't, you know, like we should kind of like define people in the community who are interested in this kind of area of work, right? Or right, like in terms of the how people can do data with ML on Kubernetes, right? And like, you know, like defining the charter is not really the problem from my understanding. Like, you know, as I said before, the working group can be like only creating the guidelines, right? How you can run Spark on Kubernetes within machine learning, right? So I just believe it's not like necessary, like the hard requirements that you have the own piece of code within Kubeflow GitHub org to be inside the working group, right?
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm gonna move on to only because we have other topics, but you understand the challenges I have, right, Andre, about timing and all this. I want to push it forward because I don't want it to sit in limbo, especially because Marcin and you have done so much work. I know how important it is to keep momentum. Okay.
Just last thing, I think like for Marcin, like Josh, if you can like, you know, like ask James and you to provide your decision on this PR, that would be nice, so we can move forward. And any other concern, yeah, reach out to us as well.
Yeah, and as I said, is it fair for James and me to make the decision when we're in the midst of probably having 3 new members? I guess, I don't know.
I think I think anyone who would realistically have been on the voting members would have raised their voice by now if they had had any significant concerns, right? We know that there's only 60 people it could be.
Right, well, I'm just asking again, right? Just double checking, right? Okay, that's all good data points. Thank you, everyone, for the input. This next one, is this you, Matthew?
So this is just a very brief. I don't think we need to have this discussion right now. It's just there's a couple of projects, one right now and maybe one more soon, that really sit in this. They're a little bit closer than the other external add-ons. You know, people were raising it last time that it's a bit unfair to put Kserve in external add-ons, but yet we don't have another level of relationship, which is that I think that the defining characteristic is this bundled but independent concept where Kserve is included by default in Kubeflow, but it's not actually maintained by Kubeflow. But there's nothing to say that we as a community aren't very close to Kserve. Like that's what we're trying to highlight. So I think there's both on a website and just a branding perspective, there's a benefit to thinking of a new level of relationship that is kind of like maybe partnered, affiliated, bundled, something to that effect. And yeah, and Andre.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you, Marty, for this. Like, I think like this is my personal opinion, but I think we should work for the next year to ask Kserve community if they can like join us back as a CNCF project. And I'm kind of like not 100% confident that they like, you know, like willing to do so, but I can see that they want to be part of CNCF, a part of Kubeflow, to have like more cohesive story. And I hope like the steering committee can work towards like together with K-Serve community to see what we can achieve there. Go ahead, Amber. Yeah.
I like this initiative. And what I asked, that maybe somebody else wants to do this too. I asked Matthew if we could have a separate meeting, other than, the community meeting for those who are interested in, this tiering of the external add-ons, to work together, because partnered and affiliate sort of imply a legal agreement. If you look at other organizations and some of you who belong to other distributions and other companies, the words partner and the word affiliate usually imply some legal agreement. Bundled to me seems like, I don't know, insurance or cell phone usage or something like that you see. So I think that we should really work on defining this. The two things that stick in my mind is it's more than just a name and more than just tiering it. It is, one, what does that tier mean? And then two, what's the process to reaching that tier? And without that, I don't think we should tier these things until we have, one, what the process is and what a good name and definition is. And so I think that there probably needs to be a separate meeting outside of the community meeting for those who are interested to come to that conclusion, and then let Matthew come back and present it to the community.
Yeah, because I'm obviously not making a decision for everyone here. I think this is obviously something that the new steering committee would have to vote on anyway. But it's just like, I just think that it's a bit confusing to users to have Kserve not have to not reflect the fact that Kserve is such a close project to us, and that I also want to have the opportunity for other projects that we are very commonly associated with to be able to be in this level as well. But yeah, that's my thought.
Okay, I think this is a good initiative. It's going to take a little while to work it out, but I think that's a very good idea.
Okay, and this one's really important. I've been kind of putting off talking about this, but we have some like rogue development going on the Kubeflow org. So this repo here on the Kubeflow org, which is seemingly an active development and yet has no working group. And this is what I was trying to say. So
this repo is primarily maintained by a couple of vendors like Alibaba Group, for example, Alibaba Cloud, many, and it's been there for a long time before you started contributing to Kubeflow. So
I'm aware it's been here. I've been aware of it for a really long time. I just think it's
okay, sure.
We need to get it either off the org or in a working group. That's that's what I think. It's just kind of like, it's not on the website, it's not listed anywhere. It's kind of weird. I'm not saying it's not a good tool. It might be
used and
oh no, I'm not saying
adopted
we kill the tool.
by many
I'm just
others.
saying we let it be its own community, or we actually adopt it formally. That's kind of what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's a bad tool.
I think this should wait till February when the new steering committee gets in, and then we look at it, because there's probably others that we need to look at too.
This is the only one that's actively being developed. The rest of them are kind of just sitting there, repos. They're actually listed on up here, all the inactive ones. These ones. But anyway. It's just something to think about. I just wanted to bring everyone's attention to it. It's just something that we do need to resolve, because if it's a good project, I really want to get it on the front page. If it's a project that really wants to maintain its independence, then it should be given its opportunity to leave and make its own org. If it's something weird, then we probably need to deal with it. That's kind of I just wanted to highlight that to everyone.
Okay, the Feast team, I reached out to Willem, and he is interested in having a conversation about how Feast and Kubeflow might work together. We've tried this several times, but there's another opportunity. I don't know if folks...
So I've had a lot of discussions with a lot of people at both Feast and other companies some of which I can name, some of which I can't right now, about who's going to be maintaining Feast going forward. It looks like they will have a serious core of like at least 10 engineers that will actually be maintaining it outside. So Tecton, the company that used to back it, has largely pulled away from the project and has formally detached themselves now. it's a Linux Foundation project, so we don't have any problems with that. My thought process, I don't think it in a similar way to Kserve, I don't see any immediate path to them joining Kubeflow. I don't even know if they would want that because they are an independent project that can be deployed without Kubernetes even. But what I think they need from us as a community is both our kind of support to push contributors their way, but also I think that part of the reason I was proposing this new status is for them as well, which is to say we can bundle them by default. They're already on the manifest repo. And effectively our goal would be to promote the idea that Feast is still a project, it still exists because it does. It's got new contributors and maintainers that just haven't been formally announced. And as a result of that change, they're becoming closer to Kubeflow again, just like they were at the beginning. That's kind of my thought process.
I'm kind of interested in this trend of, we're the home of a lot of projects or partnering with, we're providing a lot of value to projects, whether it's Kserve or Feast or the Spark operator. This overall theme of how it fits into 1.9 and beyond. This is another data point, but I guess the question is, there's a process that we're probably going to have to come up with for all these external add-ons. Feast is up there as an opportunity to come back, and whether we want to invest the time and effort, or maybe they do.
Yeah, so I think the first step is not even, we don't want to present any kind of, we're not taking over the project. It's owned by the Linux Foundation.
Yeah.
The most important thing to present is just, they want to be more friendly with us, and we want to use our platform to help them establish their new community because obviously you can imagine it's quite difficult for a big open source project that just had its main commercial backing pull out. And that's kind of what we as a community want to help with, because we as a community, obviously we're a Kubernetes ML platform. Feature stores are part of that, right? And the biggest open source feature store disappearing would be a bad situation, right? For the open source machine learning platform that is Kubeflow, right? So yeah.
All right, we're over time, but is there anything else on the bottom end here that you want to talk about, Matthew? There's a lot here.
Okay, so this one's a really simple styling update.
Before we move very much, can I ask you a question about Feast quickly? Sorry if I'm
okay, sure. Yeah. Some of it I can and can't talk about, but yep.
Yeah, no worries. I'm just wondering how we can translate this message to the community, because I think there were so many people who are interesting to be involved in these discussions. So
initially the discussions, I just from a purely ensuring we don't step on anyone's toes, they are every decision is the complete prerogative of the Feast community. So if you want to be involved, you need to join those meetings that they're having about who's going to lead their project.
Well, and what I had offered is Willem had offered to come and talk to us, and so if we wanted to do that, do we do that in this meeting or a separate meeting? But Willem would be one of those people that might give us the inside view of what he thinks is going to happen and how we could work with them best.
Someone else has got their hand up.
Vikas.
I was just highlighting that there's one issue which I worked on in September and October about the architecture diagram. And I was just wondering if I can get some feedback on it, and or any updates on the PR. Just the PR is just sitting over there.
Oh yeah, I have seen this. Sorry, we've been a bit busy with other stuff, but yes. How far did this get along? Did this get updated after the feedback?
There was some feedback. I implemented it, and I raised a PR a pull request as well.
Do you have a link to the actual PR?
I can find out for you.
Okay, cool. While you're doing that, the other important thing is for Josh and other people who can approve things. This is just I took how previously there was the move AWS to inactive. Well, that PR also did other cleanups of the style. I think this is a really useful style cleanup for the installing page. It makes the header blue. It rewords this. It adds a warning about the distribution names, which says some platforms have names like Kubeflow on platform. Please note this is not an official distribution method for that platform. It's this kind of just helping new users, because we're getting a lot of new users. We just hit 10,000 Slack members, by the way, party, I guess. We got a couple thousand in the last few months, which has been great. So this is just one thing. And then the other big one I really want to highlight, but this one I think we can merge pretty safely. There's not much discussion, but this other one is a much bigger one, which is refactoring the external add-on section and adding these GitHub links and website links to them, and while giving them all a top level page, which has mostly one page, sometimes two, which says what the heck is this project and how is it related to Kubeflow? And it's just taking the words that were already on the website and just putting them in a structure which is a bit easier to see the list. Anyway, that's the two big PRs I want to highlight.
Now I would like.
Sorry, Matthew, I've just sent the link for PR in chat.
Fantastic.
And regarding PR in chat, I also sent the PR regarding improving the S6 init system. I've sent it to you on Slack, Matthew. It's also in the chat here, such that we maybe in time can review it for Kubeflow 181.
So yeah, regarding the website for the PR for the architecture, did you change anything else, or did you only change the diagram?
I just corrected a few typos and typos as well. So I think it's been long, so I don't recall how many changes I made, but it was just renaming the components to apps, those kind of things.
Oh, you definitely can't do that.
Okay.
Just make it so that it only changes the content of the website. These other changes require significant redirect stuff, and we're not going to do that anyways. It just breaks SEO. There's no particular reason to. This is just links, because this affects the actual links on the website.
Okay. So on the architecture diagram, do you want me to rename app to components?
Definitely use the word components for things that are actually components.
Yeah.
And that, because that is for now the name that we're using. But also please don't move the pages around on the website. But it looks like there's only 3 actual file changes here, which is pretty fine. And I'm not against just merging this like straight away, almost assuming it's correct. Just because of I'm so annoyed with the current architecture being wrong. So
I wanted to see if we couldn't have this match the style of the diagram that's already on the website.
Yeah, Amber, if you can send me the hex code of the colors, that would really be helpful. I can actually make that change.
Perfect.
Oh yeah, we should definitely make those internal ones have a slightly different background color at very least. Yeah, that's a bit hard to read.
Okay.
Probably I'd say the groupings should be like the main thing should be like Kubeflow notebooks, training report. These sort of things should have a background color. I think that's my thought process.
Okay.
Because
yeah, if you can, clean the PR, it would be good.
You get the golden cookie today for staying up late and doing a lot of this really work and bringing it back to the fore. We need to approve this. This diagram does need to be updated, and I appreciate your efforts to push it forward.
Yeah, so I think we're very, very close. I think it's just a styling change now, because even if we just took it in its current state, it would still be better than the current one. So
yeah, exactly.
So the main thing I just need to ask from you is just, can you make it's probably, depending on how good you are at Git, just push your Git, just pretty much either make a new PR or just take your existing PR and
yeah, I'll probably make a new PR that would be easier.
Yeah, just make it so it's these 2 changes only, and then we can pretty much get that merged ASAP.
Okay. And just for the apps part, do you want me to, in the diagram, do you want me to rename its controllers to reflect what's on there?
Components, what it says on the sidebar of the website, components.
Yeah.
Because there's also what we used on kubeflow.org's front page now. We put the heading Kubeflow components.
All good. Now, on the issue,
maybe even use the word Kubeflow components.
Yeah.
Maybe even use the word Kubeflow components. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'll make that change. And Amber, if you can send me the hex codes for those colors or some identifiers, I can make the color.
Oh, okay. The external add-ons as well, though. Maybe we should structure it like the new. This is more of a, because this again brings up why the case of being in here is a bit sad. But the structure I changed. Part of me thinks that maybe we should just only have queso here almost. But like
so
On the
Can I-
website, we've got other components as well. So I thought like I'll include all the model serving components
Maybe like,
under
but
yeah.
maybe just go under external add-ons, have like KServe, and then have other add-ons be a separate section or something, and just put everything else there.
Okay.
So I think, sorry for interrupt. I think we need like, other than that, this is great. I agree, but we need like the more like less overlapping diagram, as like, you know, like we have the in the Kubeflow summit, like when the Josh I think presented about Kubeflow overview. We have one diagram which shows like Kubeflow has a component for training, for serving, for tuning. I understand that KServe is like external add-on, but for users who just come to the Kubeflow for the first time, they need to see that Kubeflow actually supports the overall ML lifecycle. And we need this diagram to show before we only have this kind of like, you know, more structured diagram.
Well, you could even just take the cards that we've added on the front page, right? These 6.
No, I don't think it will explain it. Like if you open like the presentation that Josh gave, like it has like, and we can like redraw it. Like that just shows like the Kubeflow actually supports all of the ML lifecycle aspects, right? Because for the user,
yeah.
Yep. I agree with that.
Yeah, we should have that as well. I think we should have that in the introduction. So like there's 2 pages that we need to update that are like really bad on the website. The first one is the introduction, which is honestly really embarrassing that this is so out of date. This is where that one can 100% go. It can even replace this video because the video is super out of date. And then the architecture can have the more comprehensive diagram, like replacing this one, right? Do you
Can
think
we
that's
skip-
fine? Or-
Well, I think there's a lot more that we need to work out, like, and we're already over time. Can we schedule for those who want to join the call? I think you, you, Matthew, myself, maybe Andre. Can we just schedule a call that for a time that works for you all, and we just schedule it for an hour and just have a working session and just finalize this tomorrow?
yeah, I think it's good to me. We need to find early time for Vikas, right? Because he is in the
Correct.
in Australia time zone, right? Because like it's very late for you right now.
Maybe we could do like 5:30 p.m. Pacific, which would be in his afternoon. Something.
Yep.
Yeah, it will be 2 a.m. my time.
Oh wait, crap. That's the
Yeah, never
problem.
mind. I
There's
mean, I think we can let's follow up offline. I think we just need to we don't need to spend more time on this. Amber, can you just start a maybe channel and we can find a time which works for all of us?
Yep, we'll do.
Thank you, Amber. Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, from the external add-ons, the weird structure of the website doesn't need to be reflected in the diagram. That's what I'm just trying to say. Because the website, I'm trying to restructure it so that these are the top level sections, right? So like the external add-on section should just have KServe and Feast. Well, again, KServe hopefully and Feast will be moved into a new section called like bundled add-ons or something. But we'll discuss that. But initially, it's just going to be under external. And so like I'll just show people because like I really want to highlight how important this update is for new users. Because right now, if you look at kubeflow.org under external add-ons, this is what you're presented with. One that's not even a section, which is just a Lyra. This is KServe, and then you got feature store, doesn't even say Feast. And then you have which implies that Kubeflow is endorsing Feast as the only feature store. And then you've got tools for serving, which is like, wait, isn't KServe also a tool for serving? But then half of these are not even maintained projects anymore, like TensorFlow batch prediction and serving and things like this. And so like what this does is this PR. First off, it actually also puts a star on this Kubeflow, but it gives all of them a top level section. It puts this warning here. We were talking about last time whether this warning was too forceful. I made it a lot less forceful. It's still red because I can only make it blue or red. It's the only 2 colors I can make it. But what it does primarily is puts these things here. It has like an introduction. It says like, what is KServe? And it says KServe is now KServing. It's pretty much taking the words that were already there. It's just merging it all into 2 pages in this case. And then it also produces these links on the sidebar, which, you click here, you get taken to the KServe website, which is great. And similarly, even our Kubeflow components now also have links to their repos. That's just what I'm saying. I think this is a really important PR for new users. Josh, is there anything else we wanted to talk about?
I am way over time. I need to go. So if you guys want to continue, you can, but
Yeah, so if anyone wants to chat now, then I'm happy to do that. But we can stop the recording if anyone else got anything. Thanks, Josh.
Thanks, Josh. I gotta drop too. Thanks, everybody. And I reached out to folks who are interested in the diagrams.
Also, I'll post an update on the Kubeflow 2.0 notebooks 2.0 thing. Thanks.